Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today, we'll be talking about awards.
Awards? What do you mean awards?
The award.
Oh, the Spiel des Jahres?
Yes.
Nice.
Now today we'll be talking about the Spiel des Jahres award, which is the award in the board game industry. It is the game of the year.
It's a pretty big title to win, that's for certain.
Very big deal.
Yes. And like Ilya said, every year there's one game that wins this award.
It is the game of the year. It's not the games of the year.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is there's like 3 nominees every year, and then a jury will go through and decide which of those games wins that title. This year, the 3 games that are up for nomination are these ones right here, which I'll pull onto screen. The first one is Dorfromantik The Board Game. The next one is Next Station London, the flippin' right. And the last game is Fun Facts, this fun little party game. So what exactly are we doing in this video today? Well, we're going to do a should win and will win video. We're gonna look at each of these games, tell you which game we think should win and which game will win. Predictions. But before we jump into that, we wanted to give you a little bit of a background into the Spiel des Jahres.
So this award was originated in the late 70s. A bunch of folks came together in Germany and they essentially said, hey, we need to decide what the standard for board games is and how to raise that standard higher and higher. Because that is the result of this award, is that innovation has occurred, games keep getting better, and we are truly living in the renaissance of board games.
You heard it here first.
True. Now, like Tyler said, there is a jury that plays all these games, and all these are independent of other publishers. So this is a really prestigious award because it's really not influenced by any external factors. It's a lot of folks playing games on their tables, and recommending all the games that should win the game of the year. Now, what does this award really mean? Well, from the financial aspect of it, typically, if you get nominated for this award, it'll mean that you sell 3,000 to 10,000 copies of your board game.
Wow.
And prints of board games really range from the 1,000 to 10,000. So that is already a significant deal. But the winner of this award can sell up to as many as 500,000 copies of a board game, which is...
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games in comparison. So winning this award from that fiscal perspective is a really, really big deal.
I mean, on top of that, your name gets out there, the game gets out there, and you'll probably recognize some of the previous winners that have won this award, like Codenames, Ticket to Ride, King Domino, Azul, Just One, and Catan. And most recently, the latest winner was Cascadia.
Which, that game.
Yes,
Very
exactly.
Good. So how are these games chosen, and what is that criteria for the jury to take a look at? Now, from our understanding in the Spiel des Jahres website, which you can also check out down below and learn a little bit more about this process because it is really interesting. Some of the factors that contribute to the criteria of these games are the concept and the originality behind the game. Is it doing something different, or is it taking some common mechanics and flipping them on their side and really looking at them at a different perspective? Are the rules comprehensible? Is it an easy game to get to the table and teach to your fellow players? Is it design of the game mechanically and also physically, the box, the art, is it appealing? Yes. These are the games that we generally use to invite people to the hobby. So it is a really high standard and a really prestigious award in that case as well.
Exactly. And of course, they're fun to play.
So fun to play.
Can't forget that part about winning this award.
No, we cannot.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about these 3 games by first giving you a quick overview of, well, what they are. We'll start over here with Dorfromantik. Some of you might be familiar with the video game version of this game, and I think that's what it was inspired by, but it's a tile placement, hexagonal tile placement, campaign game that you're working towards basically unlocking a bunch of different things through placing tiles. You're going to want to make groups of different areas or different like types of tiles and complete missions to score a higher points. Working through the campaign, you'll get more and more unlockables that'll help you score higher and higher points and add a bit of a twist to the game.
It is a zen type of game. It feels really calming, but that determination to get those high scores and unlock more content really keeps you coming back. And the tile placement?
Yes, it's a very good translation from the video game to the board game, for those of you who are wondering.
And this one is also designed by Lukas, Zach, and Michael Palm, and is published by Pegasus Spiele.
Sure is.
Now, on to the next one. I'll talk about Fun Facts. So Fun Facts is designed by Kaspar Lapp and is from Repos Productions. And it is a party game in which you're learning fun facts about your friends.
Yes.
A question will be asked. You write down your answer secretly and then place them, which are usually numbers, and try to get them in ascending order based on the knowledge of the people around you. You really get to learn a lot about your friends, you get to laugh, and most importantly, you get to have some fun.
Exactly. This generates a lot of interesting conversations, especially with the prompts that you're given, and it makes for a great game just like with friends, but also in a, well, my favorite is like a corporate setting. Some icebreakers.
Icebreakers.
The next and final game that we have to talk about is Next Station London. This one's designed by Matthew Dunstan and is published by Blue Orange Games, and it is a flip and write. Essentially what you're going to be doing is taking a single color and working your way through a number of cards, drawing from shape to shape based on whatever comes up and making transit lines. The cool thing about this is you're always going to have one round where you're a single color, and then that's the transit line you'll make, and then you'll play 4 rounds of that, trying to not overlap them or make them crash, and making sure that they score you the most points by basically efficiently visiting the city and being able to drop people off in different areas.
What I love about this game is that because you have different color pencils, you always assume that you're like, I'm gonna be purple.
Yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't work like that. You pass those colors around and you're able to utilize all of them. And it always is a joy. The crunchy puzzle of it, I feel like transit and board games is always just amazing.
Yeah, it works out for a good little puzzle.
So now, what do we think of all these nominees? All stacked together, do you think, what are your kind of first impressions going into this process?
Well, gameplay-wise, they're very different, so it's hard for me to like directly compare them like that. But if you take what the Spiel des Jahres are doing and you consider a lot of the other variables like engagement and the way that they've done things mechanically and just design-wise, I think all of these games are great examples of things that do that. We're all familiar with party games. This is just a new twist on it that adds this like very unique social aspect to it, and I really appreciate that. We've got this flip and write that, like Ilya said, is not color players, but it's just a color per round. And then Dorf is this translation from a video game to a board game done really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was really surprised by Dorf, and I'll get into it as we chat about more, but I think generally this is probably one of the most competitive nominations that I've been following this award for the last few years, and I always tell Tyler and I keep up, I'm like, I don't know, I think this one might squeak through and win. And I feel like usually there's 2 that are stronger that is between, but I feel like all these are really solid contenders, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of them won. And that said, we really enjoy all 3 of these games.
Yes.
They're games that we've played at least 5 times or more of each, probably upwards of 10 times each now.
Yeah, closer to 10, I would
So
say.
I think they've hit our table quite often. We adore these games. So I'm excited to dive in and give our perspectives on who should win
and will win.
Will win. So now we're going to get into the fun bit of our video, which is the who should and who will win. In the first section, we'll talk about who should win. And this is generally like, who do we want to win? Based on our experience playing these games, who are we rooting for? Who do we think will, or who do we want to take the award?
Yeah.
The will win is who do we think, I almost said it in the other one, will win the award. Based on the criteria, based on the past, based on maybe a gut instinct, who do we think will take the Spiel des Jahres? And it may be the same, it may be different. We'll find out.
Do you want to start off with who should win then?
Yeah, let's kick it off with who should win. Should we say it at the same time and talk about it?
Oh, we could.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes, okay.
So who should win?
Yeah.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
Dwarf.
Fun facts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll
All
start.
right, here, you take this over here. We'll swap.
We'll swap.
We'll swapsies.
Okay. So I think fun facts should win because when I first heard about this game, it did not feel very different to me from a lot of other party games of like social games where you get to know about each other, questionnaires, kind of those types of games. But having played it so many times now with different groups of people, this is the essence of what I think board games should be from that first experience. I think you really, the amount of times we've had laughs, but we also had really deep discussions. Like you can do it all within 8 rounds in this game. And you're also still playing a game because you're trying to do our best, and there's that suspense moment of unveiling the tiles and showing what it is. And overall, I think it's a phenomenal game. I just won one in 2017, I believe, and it is kind of in the same family. So I'm curious if they'll do another winner from the same family of games. But I do think that Fun Facts should win.
Should win.
Yeah.
I like that reasoning. Fun Facts is fantastic. Again, for that social aspect of just like getting everybody together. My favorite part about the game is actually having the conversations post answers and just like hearing everybody's thought process. One of the ones that I can remember right now is like how many rooms are in your house, and then especially when we're playing with couples, yeah, like the numbers when they're different, it's just funny to see almost
like a kitchen or room.
Yeah, almost like this back and forth between everybody now talking about what the definition of a room is. So yeah, I picked Dorfromantik because I think it stands the test of time in a sense where I could play both of these games a lot, and I have, but even with the repetitiveness of all 3 games, I think that I would find more enjoyment. Like, I would have less diminishing returns playing Dorfromantik.
I like it.
Yeah, that's really all I can say is I think they're all good games. I think the ability to be able to play them is really smooth, so you can pick them up really fast, teach them to other people, and then go with it. I think with Dorf, you can do that, but also it's a campaign game. The randomness in the number of tiles, the way that you unlock things, I think is so broad and like statistically branched that it just makes for a better experience, I suppose, I would say. So that's why I picked Dorfromantik.
I like it. Okay, so now for the next category of who will win.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Dorfromantik.
Dorfromantik for me too.
Yeah, mine is the same.
Yours is the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's for the exact reason that I just said. I think all 3 of these games are very different, so I have to compare them at different levels. And I think replayability and like design function is like one of the things that really stands out to me with Dorfromantik. I think the familiarity that people already have that have enjoyed the video game can now hop into this board game, I think is also super, super valuable in a game, which I think makes this Dorfromantik stand out a bit more than these 2 do.
I think I'm in a similar vein. I have a couple of thoughts around this. So the number one thought is that video game translation. I think I was a little hesitant initially.
Oh yeah.
Because I really enjoyed the video game and it was a very different feel, but I feel the way it was translated over, I almost prefer the board game in a solo play versus the video game. And even collectively, it's also a really fun game to play with couples and a lot of people.
I like this more in multiplayer mode.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, but the fact that I gravitate towards it more after having played the video games, like I don't think that's said often. Typically, the video game remakes don't sell me as much. I do think it takes that really common tile placement mechanic and does something really different with it, adding goals, adding ways that the goals kind of progress and are different game to game. And it does, like Tyler said, every game it feels really different, fresh, but also really approachable and really fast to get to the table as well. I think the last thing I'll mention as well, which is why I think it will win, is a few years ago, My City was nominated for this award. And I think it has a lot of really similarities to My City, but I feel like Dorf just elevates it in different ways. Where My City, I feel like once you get through that campaign, you're basically done. And you do have the evergreen mode you can't come back to. But here, like I can see playing this game again, potentially going through another campaign. Like there's so many ways this game can really be enjoyed, and it always feels slightly different. And that perception and coming back to the campaign, but also playing its own game and celebrating the success or score you got with that big chart, I think is just wonderful. I'll be, I think, surprised if it doesn't win.
Ilya knows a lot more about these awards than I do. This is like mostly just gut feeling, I suppose, for me. And
well, it's aligned, your gut feeling and my analytical, historical perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I know like the past winners, mostly because Ilya tells me about them, but he does more research on it. So it's interesting to hear his thoughts on it versus like what my like instinct is telling me based on like previous winners kind of thing.
That said, we have not mentioned Next Station London. Next Station London is a phenomenal game.
Oh, yeah.
And we've played it so many times this year. And there's a new actually sequel, Next Station Tokyo, coming out.
It's harder. It's
harder. I haven't played it.
Yeah. It's on BGA.
Yeah,
so I've been able to try it. And I'll say that it is harder, which makes it more interesting in a different way kind of thing. So you've got to be thinking about a couple other things. Same thing, though, you've got the colors. Yeah. All three of these games are fantastic. There's a reason why they're nominated. This is obviously like our opinion on it. And it does not go without saying that Next Station London, even though we stuck with fun facts and Dorfromantik here, Next Station London definitely deserves its spot where it is. It's a fantastic game. And again, super approachable, super easy. And that little twist where now all of a sudden you aren't playing player colors and you're handing around different pencil crayons, I think is actually really fantastic. I think it's a neat little like surprise, especially when you open the box and you're like, oh, we're not just picking one color, and then
there's a progression and it gets really strategic and thinky, like a lot of typical games in these categories do as well. So if you haven't played any of these three games, we would highly recommend them. They're all fantastic games. Definitely check them out. But if you have, our question for the day is, tell us about your experience with these games. If you've played all three, who do you think will win? Is there a favorite that you're rooting for with this award? Do you have any predictions? There's a lot of questions of the day.
Basically, do exactly what we did in this video. Who should win and who will win.
What if I'll win?
Maybe you will win.
In my prediction of getting it right.
Oh, but we did that already. We both said the same thing, so we'd both be winners.
I'll be winner if Fun Facts wins, because I'm like, yes, the game I wanted to win will win.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, if you like this video, please give us that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here. This was a lot of fun and it's a bit different for us. So thanks so much for sticking around if you're still watching. And be sure
to check out our next video, which is the Kennerspiel des Jahres, which is the connoisseur game of the year. So these are more complex games. So we're going to take a look at all the nominees because we luckily have played all of them as well.
Exactly.
And tell you who should win.
And who will win.
Have a good one, everybody.
See you in the next one. Bye.